Welcome to the latest edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Haig, and don't forget, as always, the Hudson County Sports Podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people down at Stan Sports Center, located at 528 Washington Street in Hoboken. The telephone number there is 201-798-4466. And in the 2.5 years of me doing this podcast, and it's been a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of characters on the podcast, there is probably none that has been more celebrated and more honored than my guest with us today. He is the pride of Bayonne, New Jersey. Perhaps the most famous person, other than Sandra Dee, maybe, to come from Bayonne. He ended up becoming a professional fighter who was the inspiration for the Rocky series, although Sylvester Stallone denied it at first, and we won't go into that detail, but he did. Fought Muhammad Ali for the heavyweight championship of the world in 1974, and he knocked Ali down, and he had a storied career. He's a member of the Hudson County Sports Hall of Fame. That's where Chuck and I became good friends. He's also a member of the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Fame, also the National Boxing Hall of Fame, and he has been featured in his own full-length movie titled Chuck, that starred his friend Liev Schreiber, which was a great movie that came out about 3-4 years ago. And it is my good friend and Chuck Wepner. Chuck, I am so honored and pleased that you're with us today. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. Really good.
Glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're with us. So, all right.
Pleased to be on your show, buddy, because I heard a lot about it.
Oh, good. Well, you are the most celebrated guest we've had so far. You're quite welcome. All right, so let's turn the clock back. And you were born and raised in Bayonne, weren't you?
No, actually, Jim, I was born in New York. My mother and father got separated shortly after I was born, and my brother was born. My brother's a year younger, although he's deceased now. But we moved here. We were about a year and a half old. My mother, like I said before, my mother and father split up, and my mother raised us, so we moved in with my grandmother, who was the superintendent of a building on 28th Street in Bayonne. And she actually had 9 children at the time.
Wow.
And what they did was converted a storeroom in the back of the cellar, one room, and we lived there till we were 13 years old. I was 13, and we moved to the project, and then I joined the Marine Corps. I had the Marine Corps when I was 17.
Okay, so did you go? First of all, let's talk a little bit about your childhood. Did you play all sports growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I did. But basketball was my best sport, I guess, because I was tall in the different leagues.
You still are tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'5".
Right.
So I was tall, and I played basketball. We actually won six or seven championships in Bayonne, in the City League, the B League, the A League, and
Who were you playing for then? Do you remember?
yeah, sure. I played for the Stars.
Okay.
From Bayonne with Mike Scapitello, who was the coach. Then I played with the Presto Electronic Warlords, which my mother sponsored us and bought us all uniforms and all. We won a championship for that. And the City League, we won 3 straight championships in the City League for top scorer.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So, when did boxing become part of your life, and at how old of an age?
Well, they used to have these kid smokers where you kids would be a little kid. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and they put this big lumps on you, and you'd fight each other, kids. And I had 3 fights in that thing. There was no decision or anything. And I really started thinking about boxing at the age of about 17 or 18. I would get down once in a while. And in 1965, they had an opening on the PAL boxing team to go into the New York City Championships. And at that time, no heavyweight had ever won the New York and East Coast National Golden Gloves. To this day, still no heavyweight that won the state championship. New York local New York News heavyweight championship in Madison Square Garden, and I won that in '65.
Wow. So you fought as an amateur in Madison Square Garden as a teenager?
Yep, the championship.
Wow.
I was 25 years old. I wasn't a.
Oh, you were 25.
Yeah, this was after I was in the Marine Corps and everything else.
How many years did you do in the Marine Corps? 4?
3.
3. Okay.
Before I got discharged as our commissioned officer, and I had a good career. I liked the Marine Corps. The only thing was that it didn't pay well. You know.
No.
Servicemen, they defend our country and everything else. They don't get paid well for it, but God bless them.
Did you get deployed anywhere, Chuck? Did you have to go anywhere? Like, did you go to Vietnam?
No, I was lucky. Vietnam was after me.
Oh, okay.
1956, and I got discharged at 59, so that was way before Vietnam.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, anyway, but I went to 3 or 4 bases. I started out in Paris Island. I went to boot camp 13 weeks. That's the toughest 13 weeks of my life. And after Paris Island, I went to Camp Lejeune, and I went to Jacksonville, and I found out I probably wound up being in crash crew, protecting the plane down on the runway. Cherry Point. I got discharged down at Cherry Point, and that was in 1959.
Okay.
I started playing basketball again, and by 65, I had developed a little bit of interest in boxing because boxing is a single sport. You just depend on yourself. You don't depend on anybody else. And like I said, I went in and I wound up winning in New York and East Coast Nationals in 1965. I was actually undefeated in the end because I didn't have to worry about cuts or anything like that. When I got to the pros, it was a little different. I got cut in a couple of bad fights and I stopped. I had a couple of losses. TKOs, they call them on cuts.
Of course. All right, and we don't want to get into that yet, but so now, after how long were you an amateur fighter, and then how did it transpire from being an amateur fighter to a professional?
Well, I was an amateur fighter from like 1965 when I won the gold medal in the championship until like 66. 1 year, that's all, because I was white, and at that time the only really good heavyweights and most of the good fighters were black or Hispanic, and so I was a hot commodity. Coming off the heavyweight gold championship, the German pro, and I won my first 11 bouts.
Wow. Who was your manager at that time, Chuck?
My manager was Gary Garafola. I don't know if you know who Gary was, but he had a place up in Union City called the Ragdoll. It was a dance club.
Oh, really? Okay.
And but he got indicted in 19.
Wow, a Hudson County guy getting indicted? That's a change of pace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They refused him a license, so my trainer, Al Braverman.
Ah!
Yeah, Al Braverman took over as the best thing ever happened to me, because Al was a great boxing person. He knew what he was doing. Possibly the best cut man in the world. I've worked with some great fighters. It was good for me because he could make the move.
He had a lot of contacts, didn't he, Chuck?
Oh, yeah, he knew everybody.
Right.
Al was big, heavy set. He was a Jew. Al was a Jew, and he was an Army champion. And in that days, there weren't too many heavyweights around, so I got a couple of fast breaks, and before you know it, by my 4th pro fight, I was fighting 10-round main events.
Wow. Right, 10-round main events already, just right out of being an amateur? That's amazing. They don't do that now.
No, right out of being an amateur, I turned pro, and then I had 4 pro fights, and then I started fighting 10 rounds. I started in, my first 10 rounder was in Al Cerdo's boxing club out in Seacoast.
Okay.
Put out there, and 2 fights later, I fought for the New Jersey championship, and I won the fight. I stopped the guy in the 7th round, and I was on my way from there. I wound up winning the NABA Heavyweight Championships. I beat Ernie Terrell, the one of the slash, you might say, smaller heavyweight world titles. They said it was anyway. At that time, the champion of the world was Joe Frazier.
Right.
And it was Frazier and Ali, you know, two guys fought each other 3 times.
Yep.
I was just there at the right time. They say my 10 years in the top 10 of the world. I was ranked in the top 10 of the world for 6 years.
Okay.
They said that was the greatest heavyweight year of all time. There was me, there was Frazier, there was Ali, there was Terrell, there was Donovan, there was
Jerry Quarry, George Foreman on the rise.
Jerry Quarry, Foreman, and a lot of great heavyweights.
Ron Lyle.
Yep, Ron Lyle,
Yep. Jimmy Ellis made the step up from being a light heavy to heavyweight. That was not a good move on his part, but there were a lot of great heavyweights in that era. Ernie Schaeber's close, right? Ernie Schaeber's. This is in my head, Chuck. I didn't do homework, and I just, you know, this is by just being a huge boxing fan and knowing you. That's all. So. I'm 60. Thank you. I like that. I'll hang around with you all day. I'll take it. I'll take that. So. I know your daughter Charlene very well. So, all right, but let's go back to now. So now you were only a pro. You started as a pro at 66, 67? All right. How in the world do you get to put into the ring with Sonny Liston in the Armory? How did that fight come about?
I've got a winning streak, and like I said, I won all my fights, made my 11th fight. And Sonny Liston was the champion of the world, and Al Braverman had worked with Sonny Liston out in Las Vegas many years earlier.
I did not know that. All right. See?
Al was, like I said, a great company.
Yep.
Sonny Liston was going to fight Ali. Ali was the fresh young guy coming up, and they figured Sonny Liston would beat Ali. As a matter of fact, he was a pretty big favorite. And
20-1 favorite. The first 20-1 favorite the first time. Yeah. No.
And he fought Ali, and we figured we were going to fight Sonny Liston for the title or Muhammad Ali, because we had one of the two. We won the fight, and Ali won the fight. And Liston was no longer a champion, but we fought him in the Jersey City Armory.
Right. In 1970, and I was there as a 9-year-old kid. My father worked for the city, and he knew how much I liked boxing, and he brought me to the Armory to see that fight. So.
They won a good fight for me.
No.
You know, I got 71 stitches, a broken nose, and a broken left cheekbone.
71 stitches?
Over my eyes and inside my mouth.
Oh my God!
Liston had this big jab that he used to hook off, and I was supposed to be sticking and moving, and then I walked right in like I always did. I started banging with him, and it wasn't a good move. He was too big a punch in.
Okay.
Anyway, he stopped it with 1 minute and 23 seconds to go in the 10th round. As a matter of fact, Marty Feeling came into the ring and wanted to stop at the end of the 9th round, and he said to me, Chuck, I got to stop it, you're all busted up. And I said, Marty, please don't stop it. Let me finish the fight, one more round. And he said, okay, well, how many fingers do I have up? And I said, how many gifts do I get? Very, very funny. But I'm going to let it go, but the doctor's going to keep an eye on you. And the doctor wound up stopping the fight with minute 23 to go. That was my first look.
All right, now, Chuck, is that the time? And I know you don't like talking about it, but it's a name that you became synonymous with. Is that the fight that gave you the nickname as being the Bayonne Bleeder? And what sports writer tagged you with that? Do you remember?
Yeah, Rosie Rosenberg from the Bayonne Times.
Oh, wow, okay.
The thing at Rick's had a beige leader suit on, and from Liston hit me, after he busted me up, blood was spattered all over the place, and he got on his suit. Holy, look at this. He said, all over me. They ought to call Chuck the Bayonne Bleeder, for Christ's sake. And the name stuck on the paper. Bleeder loses to Liston. And that's how I got the name. It was actually a contest of best fight name for BC
All right, now. I mean, your career is 40 years in the rear. Do you mind that name at all, or do is that the name that you're synonymous with?
That's the name I'm synonymous with, but I don't really mind. It's boxing. Everybody has a nickname. And unfortunately, I was never down around the 147 fight, except that one time at Ali in the 15th round. That was exhaustion. But I did bleed a lot. I had a lot of cuts, 328 total.
Wow.
In my career.
And how many stitches total? Do you know?
328.
Oh, 328 stitches. Okay, wow.
It got to a point where I was almost used to being stitched up, and they used to have a joke, Chuck Wepner gets cut at the weigh-in. Before the fight. So, hey, it happens. What are you going to do? I can take a punch, but I just bled a lot.
All right. That loss didn't deter you. You kept fighting, and you stayed in the top, like say 10, 15 for the next couple of years, correct?
Yes, I did, and I followed up with a winning streak, and I wound up getting a shot at LA.
Talk a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Well, I was ranked in the top 10. Like I said, after the Elizabeth fight, I won 9 in a row, and I got ranked in the top 10 in the world. And they were looking for a light heavyweight to fight Muhammad Ali because he had wiped out everybody that he fought and almost won him, a black guy. So Al Raven put my name in, and they said that Chuck could win this fight against Ernie Terrell. Ernie Terrell was a former WBO heavyweight champion of the world.
Right.
And I fought him down in Atlantic City. And I won the fight. Against Terrell in decision. And I got my shot. They put me up for the title shot. And Ali just came off a fight with Foreman, in which Foreman banged around pretty good, but Ali came back and stopped Foreman.
Right, in the 8th round. Yeah. That's when I guess that was the beginning of the rope-a-dope. So,
right.
Yeah.
Now they were looking for somebody that Ali could fight, that they figured Ali could beat. They figured he'd cut me up or something like that. He's like cutting his thing.
Yep.
And they were looking for a softer fight, to be honest with you, after the Elizabeth fight. That was a war.
Yep.
And, I'm sorry, after the Foreman fight.
Right. That's okay.
But Ali came back to win back the heavyweight championship of the world.
Right. In 74, right? All right, so Chuck, explain to me, because I don't know, all right, and I learn something new when I do this podcast all the time. I don't know. How in the world did they get that fight to be held at the Richland Coliseum outside of Cleveland? How did that happen?
It's the Richfield Coliseum.
Richfield, I'm sorry.
Well, it was a guy named Maletti, who was a pretty big guy. I had a couple of top fighters. And between you and I, he was hooked up. He was one of the boys.
Okay.
They just opened up a new Coliseum in Cleveland called Richfield Coliseum.
Right.
And they wanted to get it off for something big. And we had an opportunity, and Al Braverman, again, like I said, the best thing ever happened to me, Al taking over as the manager. And Al talked to Maletti and suggested a world title fight. And Muhammad Ali always liked Cleveland anyway. And he agreed to it. And that's how the fight came about. We opened up the Richfield Coliseum where a world heavyweight champion was.
Okay. Now, in your heart of hearts, in training for that fight, did you think you had a real good shot to beat Ali?
I really did. I'll tell you why. I never trained full time. I was always a part-time fighter. I had a liquor job. I was a liquor salesman, Allied Liquor. And
well, you still are a liquor salesman. Don't say were. You still are, right?
Well, I tell you, I'm 53 years. I'm the oldest active liquor salesman in the desert there, probably in the world. Anyway, I just felt that if I could go away to camp and train like a regular fighter full time, I could get in great shape. And that's just what it is. Don King, that's another thing. We brought in Don
Al Braverman brought in Don King?
Yep.
Boy, oh boy, that's something I didn't know either. Go ahead.
He was friends with Don King, and he knew Don King and suggested Don King both this fight. And I was a 40-1 underdog.
Yep.
So Don King agreed and sent me to camp. I went upstate New York for 7 weeks, got in great shape.
Where, the Catskills?
Yeah, up by the hotel up there.
Grossinger's?
What?
Grossinger's?
Yeah, up by Grocery.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, we got up a training camp at a hotel up there, and I got myself into great shape, the best shape of my life, because I could train full time. I didn't have to worry about working, because I used to do that. I used to work all day and go to the gym at night, run in the morning, and that's how I fought all my fights up until that fight. Now I went away to camp. I was there 7 weeks. I ate the best food. I had excellent spark partners, and I got myself into great shape. And I figured that maybe Ali would maybe, not think he had the toughest fight in the world, which they thought that he would, and he might not get the best shape of his life, but he was still Ali, and even halfway in shape, the guy's best fighter in the world at the time. So
Absolutely.
I got out that way, and I made the most of it. A lot of guys get the shot. Ali has knocked everybody out far. He beat Chavalo twice. But he had the 40-1 underdog. I wound up going 15 rounds, had him down, and as Howard Cosell says, Chuck Wepner stunned the world.
Okay. Talk a little bit about knocking him down. Ali, to his dying day, denied that was a knockdown. But I saw the fight live, and I've watched films of the fight, and there's no question he went down. So talk a little bit about the combination that you connected to knock Ali down.
Ali had a long jab. He had a much longer reach than mine, much longer reach than most guys.
Right.
And we were trying to plan on when he threw that jab, slip to the right, come under, and try to body shot. And that's just what happened. In the 9th round, he was toying with the jab, flicking it out, but he would throw one soft jab and then 2 hard ones. So anyway, we waited for our chance. We tried it a couple of times and it didn't work. But in the 9th round, he threw a jab, and when he threw a jab, he used to also pull away so that you couldn't counter with the right hand. And I caught him under the heart, and he went down. And it's funny, but I could just feel that punch all the way up to the top of my shoulder. And it was a good, solid movie to hear it. If you play back the tape during the fight. And it was a big moment in my life, because here I dropped the heavyweight champion of Raw, especially Muhammad Ali, and they had to give him the count. He took the 8 count. Actually, he got up at 6.
Right.
He didn't wait, and then we had to take the 8 count. And the fight continued, but he opened it up after they really tried much harder. We wound up going the rest of the fight. I wound up going 6 more rounds, and it was just, as the fight progressed, I was getting more and more tired. This was a 15-round fight, but I don't have them anymore.
Right, and you didn't go 15 rounds before that, did you?
Right. No, that was the first time.
Right.
Anyway, it turned out good for me. I was in good shape, and he was starting to slow down a little bit. The other thing was, the Ken the man had never been knocked out. And to this day, he was never knocked out.
Right.
On a couple of TKOs. And,
but only knocked down twice. Twice. Joe Frazier in 71 and you.
No, Henry Cooper.
Henry Cooper. That's right. Henry Cooper did. You're right. I apologize. See?
He was never twice, but only once. The only time he was ever down in champion world against Chuck Wepner.
Right.
So 3 times is, but like Cosell said after the fight, the interview, Chuck Wepner gained more in a losing effort than Ali did in a winning effort.
That's correct.
Nobody expected me to go more than 5 or 6 rounds, maybe to cut something like that.
Right.
And while I'm going on just about the distance, 19 seconds from 10, and it was just, it wasn't even a great punch. The punch that he threw glanced
Yeah.
Made in between. I just, my equilibrium was real good, and I went down. I got up and ate, but Perez stopped the match.
Okay. All right. Talk a little bit about Chuck. How much after that fight did your life change tremendously? I mean, obviously you had instant fame. People knew who you were all over the world. I mean, how much did your life change dramatically after that fight?
It changed 100%. Just completely turned around. You know, everybody figured I was just another fight for Ali, a warm up, and I was going 15 rounds. We actually discussed the rematch, and but Don King had a couple other fighters that were in line. Don King had a lot of fighters. They were going to get the fight first, and Ali wound up losing a fight in between. He was the champion.
Right, he lost to Kenny Norton. Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny Norton, and we couldn't make a match to do it. So I stayed in the top 10 for another couple of years, won a couple of good fighters.
All right. So what did you do? What did you do after that fight? Did you get many main events, or did you have to go back to being a secondary card holder?
No, from that fight on, I fought a main event every fight.
Oh, okay.
I was the main event in the top of the card in every fight. It was good, really great. But the other thing is, I really didn't train as hard as I could. I was real Rocky the following year. Stallone made the movie Rocky. Now here I am coming off a 15-round fight with Muhammad Ali where I had him down, and then me and Rocky all within 2 years. And it was good. It was good, but I didn't really train as hard as I should have. And because I was a super celebrity now, and I let it get to my head a little bit, and I didn't train as hard as I should have. And by the way, that fight up in upstate New York where I trained for the fight was the only fight I trained for full time. I went back to training in the gym and no more going away to camp.
Okay, and you also didn't take good care of yourself either at that point, right? You were partying, right?
Why women and salt? When I partied that party, so it was one of those things, but it turned out all right because here I am almost 45 years later, and I'm still doing interviews. I'm okay, and I don't have any serious. I met my wife Linda, and wound up getting serious about everything. I even stopped drinking, and she just got saved my life again.
God bless to Linda. Okay, so now you made a little bit of a comeback, I guess, in the late 70s. You fought, and I was there for this one too. You fought Scott Frank in the total ice world for the, I think it was 2 belts at that time, the New Jersey Heavyweight Championship, and it was also, I think, the NABF Championship, North American Boxing Federation Championship.
Yeah, North American Boxing Association. Yeah.
Okay, and you beat Scott Frank at the Total Ice World when that building just was built, correct? And cold.
I was over 40 years old by then.
Was you really? Oh, yeah, okay, good point.
Yeah, I was 40 years old when I lost my last fight. That's when I retired. And I underestimated Scott Frank a little bit. Scott Frank was a very good fighter. And he was undefeated, and he was young. And I underestimated him a little bit. I should have trained maybe harder or try to go to camp. And Scott Frank won the decision, went into New Jersey championship after I held it for over 16 years. And I retired. I said right in the ring, and I said to Scott, congratulations, son. You won the Jersey championship. Take care of it. And I'm done. I'm retired. And that was it.
Okay. And I mean, so when you retired, was there any looking back? Did you say, boy, oh boy, I wish I could have been a full-time fighter instead of being a part-time fighter and a liquor salesman?
It was to get out of here while I took out some of my brains.
All right. Now, there's a couple of stories that we got to get into, but we'll be back with the second half with our interview with Chuck Wepner on the Hudson County Sports Podcast after this message from Stan Sports Center. Stan Sports Center is your local full-service sporting goods vendor and authorized team dealer. They offer quality products and dozens of brands to outfit your team top to bottom. Stan's has proudly been supporting the local community since 1946 and is your one-stop shop for uniforms, equipment, online team stores, and so much more. Locations in Hoboken and Saddlebrook and servicing the entire tri-state area. Visit them on the web at Stans, plural, sports, plural, CTR.com. That's Stans, plural, sports, plural, CTR.com. And check them out on social media for their latest creations. At Stan Sports Center, located at 528 Washington Street in Hoboken. Telephone number 201-798-4466. And if you tell the wonderful people down there, my friends Danny and Lou and Todd, that you listen to the Hudson County Sports Podcast, and especially the Hudson County Sports Podcast with the immortal Chuck Wepner, you'll get 10% off on all retail in the store. That's not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. So check it out. Go to Stan Sports Center, the sponsor of the Hudson County Sports Podcast. All right, we're back with Chuck Wepner and my special guest, Chuck Wepner. And Chuck, before we go further on after retiring, you gotta tell the story because it's an amazing story about you fighting the bear. And how did that come about?
Well, I have a couple of stories, but
go ahead, I'll take them.
The night that I fought Muhammad Ali for the championship of the world, during the day that day, my wife came to the fight, and I took her out and bought her a powder blue negligee. And I said to her, I gave it to her, I said, I want you to wear this to bed tonight, honey, because tonight you're going to be sleeping with the heavyweight champion of the world. Anyway, after the fight's over, I come back to the hotel, and I walk in the room, and she's sitting on the edge of the bed, powder blue negligee. And she said, am I going to Ali's room, or is he coming to mine? I got a very funny word about me. Here I was down and out, but that sort of perked me up a little bit, and they made a lot of news. They made a lot of good stuff about that remark. Now, the other story you're talking about.
This is classic. This is classic. And I've met the bear. How about that? I've met the bear. See?
Well, I'll tell you what. Victor was his name, and this was the bear who was on television on a Yes Sullivan show, and he wrestled 5 guys and threw them all over the place. And anyway, now this bear down the shore, because Art Sock was running different fundraiser things for different organizations down there, and he would have the bear come in and fight his whole basketball team, and 10 guys, and the bear would be throwing him in. So Art came up with the idea of me fighting the bear, me putting on an exhibition. So anyway, make a long story short, I did it. I did it down the Jersey Shore.
Was this after your career was over, or are you still fighting at this point?
My career was over.
Okay.
My career was over. So I'm fighting the bear. I'm moving around. And I said, this bear will groan and yell and roar and just stick to jab and move. So I'm taking a jab and hitting this bear in the nose, not knowing that that's the one tender part on the bear's body is his nose. And he's starting to roar. I said to myself, man, this bear puts on a good show. He really looks like he's pissed off. And with that, the bear charged me, picked me up, and threw me off the mat. We were in the middle of the basketball court.
And where down the shore?
It was down at the high school down in Spring Lake.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, yeah, before you know it, before I could get up, this bear was on top of me. And the bear's fur is almost like Brillo. And the bear was tough when we were up on the floor. I'm getting all scraped up. And the trainer said to me, when you had it up, just wave your hand. Wave your right hand. I tried to wave my right hand, but the bear was laying on me. I couldn't get my damn hand out from under the bear.
Now, this bear weighed about what? About 600, 700 pounds?
No. He was 8.5 foot tall, standing on his hind leg, weighed
1,250
1,250 pounds.
pounds. Oh, my God.
Yep. And finally, I got my hand out from under my waist, and they flew a whistle. I stopped the fight.
You got a rematch with the bear. Okay.
Rematch with the bear, exactly. I insisted on it. So, anyway, he's sitting over in the other corner, and he's actually sitting on a stool. You can imagine it. Sitting on a stool in his corner with the boxing gloves on, because he has claws, so they had to cover him. And I'm looking at him, and I said to Al Brave, I said, Al, I don't like this. This bear, look the way he's looking at me with those squinty little eyes. This bear doesn't like me. I think he remembers me. Al said, forget about it. That was a year ago. I must have fought 100 guys since then. Little did I know that bears get a sense, your scent, that they never forget. Anyway, the bell rings. This bear stood up on his hind legs. Now he's 8.5 foot tall. And he would let out one roar. And that's it. I said, hell with this. I turned around to get out of the ring. And the bear took one big hop. And don't ever think bears aren't fast. They are very fast. This bear got me. And I was trying to get out. And I got caught on the rope. And he spun me like a slingshot out into the audience. And I landed on top of the table where people have paid $50 a ticket. And there were 10 people at the table. I landed on top of the table. Everything went askew all over the place. And my friend picked me up and said, all right, come on, Chuck, get in and get him. I said, get in and get him. You got to be nuts. I got it. The referee was starting to count. He was up to 4. I said, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had it up with that bear the second time. And we actually did better financially the second time than we did the first time. We did a show the second time.
Okay. Now, how in the world did your friend in Bayonne end up with the bear? The guy who owns the tire store, where the bear is now.
That's Bruce Dillon.
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, well, Bruce has been my PR guy for years.
Right.
And Bruce gets on everything. He's great for running affairs. And, as a matter of fact, they're running an affair in April 14th, at a place called the Brewery. The Brewery in Jersey City. Big brewery, and they're going to put on a show up there April 14th.
And they're making a special beer for you, aren't they?
Yeah, they did. They made a special beer for me. Put a label on it, my picture, and Chuck Wepner on it.
And what's the name of the beer called?
Well, it's called the 902 Brewing Company.
Yeah, no, what's the name of the beer?
The beer's going to be Chuck Wepner Special.
Chuck Wepner Special. Okay, that works. So.
And the real Rocky beer.
The real Rocky. That's for sure. The real Rocky beer. That's for sure.
Right.
All right. Now.
Anyway, it's going to be a great affair. Bruce Schreiber and these other two guys are police officers, former police officers, and they own the place. And there's a guy named Steve Salat, who was the police officer, and he's the sales master of the place. And a guy named Donnie Boyce, the OTT.
Right.
He owns the place. So it's gonna be a good affair, and they won't have the band this time, but they're gonna have celebrity, and it'll be a nice time, and it'll be one admission price each drink, and he makes the beer right there.
Right.
Things there and all, and it's all the beer you can drink, and everything else. But it'll be nice.
And it's raising money to put the statue of you in Bayonne Park.
This is the last one. And we said that once before the last one, which they ran at the Chandelier of Bayonne.
Yes.
By the way, we had a sellout of almost 300 people at $250 a ticket.
Wow.
So we raised a lot of money, but this statue costs over $80,000.
Yep.
Right now, it's in Philadelphia at a smelting place, which is bronzing the whole statue.
Oh, it's being made already. The statue's being made?
Yes, the statue's made.
Oh, wow, that's great.
You never saw a picture of it on the internet?
No, I gotta go look after we get off the. See, there's something else I learned. I didn't know anything about that. I knew that Bruce was raising money for the to put the statue in Bayonne Park, but I did not know that the statue was already made.
Oh, that's the only thing that would have to be crowned. How could he get his?
All right, I'll go. All people have to do is go Google Chuck Wepner statue, and they'll get a look at the statue. So, all right, before we get off the beaten path, talk a little bit about you being part of that card at Shea Stadium where Ali wrestled with Asao Aoki, and you had the misfortune of getting in the ring with Andre the Giant. How did that happen?
Well, you know, like once again, Al Braven do everybody. I come up with the idea of fighting wrestling. And his father being Andre the Giant, he was the most famous wrestler in the world. And we come up with we had 16, over 16,000 people in Shea Stadium.
Yep.
Live bout where I fought Andre. It was just a wrestling, you know. So we went out there, we put on a show for 2 or 3 rounds, and he picked me up and threw me out of the ring. And that night too, the doubleheader was Muhammad Ali fighting Antonio Inoki in Japan.
Right.
Inoki, who didn't want to get knocked out, just laid on his back and tried to
Kick at him. Right. It was stupid.
Wound up being a much more interesting fight, me and Andre. And then I went to Japan 2 months later, and I fought Inoki in Japan.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I went to Japan. I spent 16 days as a guest of Mr. Shima, who was one of the richest men
In Japan?
And he put me up in a penthouse. I had my own limo. I was able to bring a young lady that I was going out with at the time, my girlfriend at that time. And I spent a wonderful 16 days. And then I had to fight Inoki, who was the karate and judo champion of the world, undefeated. And we went 5 rounds and a half. And he wound up getting me in a reverse Boston Crab.
I hate the reverse Boston Crab move. That's about as bad as it gets. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Break it back.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful time out there, and I got to be very good friends with Andre the Giant, who was a wonderful guy.
Unbelievable. Seriously, an unbelievable man. He was really, really a warm, caring, considerate, wonderful man. I'd shake his hand, and he'd shake my wrist. You know, and I'm a big boy. And when he shook my hand, it would encompass my entire wrist. That's how big his hands were. His hands were huge.
Well, the day we weighed in, which was about a week before the fight, by the way, he was 7'5.5" tall.
Right, which is a foot taller than you.
Yeah, he weighed 525 pounds.
Wow.
And he was in shape at that. I weighed 228. He was 525.
That was a mismatch, but that's besides the point. All right. Yep. All right. Now, when the movie Rocky comes out, did you have any idea that you were the basis for it? Whether when you were watching that movie saying, hey, you know what? This looks a hell of a lot like my life story. Or did Stallone ever contact you before the movie came out and said, you know what? I'm making a boxing movie and it's based loosely on your life. Did you have any idea at all that Stallone was doing that?
Yes, I did. One of the producers who called me up prior to the movie coming out told me that the movie would come out, that Stallone had seen my fight with Ali, and that he got the inspiration of the movie, and he was making the movie, and that when the movie premiered in New York City, I would be invited to be guest, and that was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I went there, I saw the premiere that night, and it's funny because it was over in New York City, where they just recently, the last couple of years, ran a premiere for my other movie about Chuck.
Okay.
And it was great. I was sitting in the audience, I was the honored guest, everybody recognized me and all, you know, and when the fight was over, the crowd gave us a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
Yelling, and I stood up and I waved to the crowd, and just like the movie Chuck, they premiered that in Toronto, Canada.
Correct.
And at the big theater there, that was a sellout, and they gave me a standing ovation. Same thing. So I knew that the movie was about me, and over the next 30 years, Stallone used all the parts of my life, because as you remember, not only did he fight the white guy against the club fight against the shot against the great black champion, that would be Apollo in the first one.
Right.
And then
Mr. T as Clubber Lang. Yeah.
The wrestler and fighting the movie last, the fourth one I think was Don King. Was the fur coat that was supposed to be Don King with the fur coat?
Right.
Anyway, yeah, he used me pretty good over the next 30 years. And I was lucky because that happens right on the heels of the championship fight of Ali. And it just shot me into fame all over the world.
That's right. Okay. So you have no ill feelings at all towards Stallone about what happened and whatever, no?
No, I had no fear. But you know, he kept telling me he was going to put me in movies, and he did actually. After Rocky won, and it was such a huge hit, he got the Picture of the Year award, and he should have won the Academy Award. But you know, he finished second in the ballot, and he didn't win it, but the picture did win Picture of the Year.
Right. And he won Best Original Screenplay too, so he won an Oscar for that, and the movie won Best Picture. So he has an Oscar. There's no question. He has.
Well, that's great because he's a great guy. He deserves it, and you know.
All right, so there's no ill feelings at all between you and Stallone. That's great news. That's also something else I didn't know.
No, there's a lot of money in that. As a matter of fact, over that 30-year span between the time they made the movie and I went to court, you know, against him, we remained friends. We did a lot of things together, and he always. As a matter of fact, prior to the suit, the reason that I did decide to go to court was that he was shooting a movie called Copland.
Yep.
New York.
Yep.
And small budget movie. And I thought I could have been in that. And he didn't even contact me about being in it. And I went up to the set during the shooting. And he was in a scene with De Niro at the time. And when I got on the set, he said, "Stop holding cameras, everybody. My inspiration here."
He said that.
Oh, right on the open in front of hundreds of people. And
Wow.
De Niro came over. And I had known De Niro because I had been for a part called Night in the City.
Oh, great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, with De Niro. And, but they were looking to make me up and make me out to be like a 70-year-old Jew. Okay, a manager, a trainer.
Right.
A 70-year-old Jewish guy. And I'm sitting there reading the part with De Niro face to face, you know, and I can do it. And who the hell walks into the studio with Jack Ward?
You're kidding. And that was it.
No, that was it. There goes my part.
Yeah.
He said to me, Jack Ward. Jack Ward, he'd be great for this part. He said, well, you know, he's already got a commitment with another movie, so he can't do it. Anyway, it wound up, that movie was canceled. Ward co-starred in Night in the City, and let's face it, he's a great actor.
Yep.
I couldn't compete with him.
Yeah.
But, you know, Stallone, after Rocky 1, they were coming out with Rocky 2, and he wanted me to be in that movie. As a matter of fact, he said to me, Chuck, I want you in this movie. You deserve to be in this movie. He said, I'm going to have you come down to Philadelphia and read for the part. But between the championship fight with Ali and the first Rocky, I was now world famous. Everywhere I went, people, and you know, I have a saying, you know, the women used to throw their underwear at me. Underwear in my life. And, you know, I used to, my wife is your dog.
Yeah. Say Linda, it's not a true story. He's just making that up. Go ahead.
No, that's true. It's true, believe me.
Oh, okay. Sure, Linda, please. This is Linda Wepner, Chuck's wife. Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
I met Chuck a couple of months after the Ali fight. Now, I love Muhammad. Anyway, I found out that a friend of his, John Stowe, which Jim Gaffigan had played in the movie.
Yes.
I went to the bar and he said to me, because at the time I was thin, long red hair, makeup, the whole Brooklyn scene, right? And he said to me, you want to meet Chuck Wepner? I said, sure, why not? He fought Ali. He calls up Chuck. Chuck gets on the phone. He said, I heard you're big and gorgeous. I said, no, I'm short and cute. I met him a week later. I liked him. We went out as a friend. Didn't see him in 16 years.
Wow.
For 16 years. A fellow walks in the bar. I was a bartender.
This is 16 years later. His death of time.
Now I'm like 43. Anyway, he said, you used to go out with Chuck. I said, yeah, Chuck was a friend of mine. All of a sudden, this guy Jerry was a friend of John. Before you know it, Chuck came in to see me, and that was it. It's history. We have the same birthday, February 26th.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
Well, that'll be a great day. Happy birthday to both you and Linda, you and Chuck. Happy birthday early.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be 83 and she'll be 74.
Oh, God bless Chuck, 83. What a life. All right.
Yeah, it's not that great. I think I just had the one little setback with the cancer, which I'm still fighting. It's an ongoing thing here.
Yep. All right, so talk to me a little bit about how in the world did Liev Schreiber contact you and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to make a story about your life.
He didn't contact me. Here's how it went down.
Please, I don't know.
Mike Tolan, who's a big movie producer in Hollywood. Made a lot of big movies.
Yeah, no, and he started the TV show Head of the Class way back when. You know, he was, as a matter of fact, I think he was in the cast of Head of the Class.
No, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he called me up and he said, Chuck, we're thinking of doing a movie. And we'd like to do a movie about your life. And this is, long time ago. This is 10 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe 15. Anyway, he said, yeah, it was a great fight with Ali and the movie Rocky and everything else. And we're going to do the movie about you if it's okay with you. And I said, well, who we get to play a part? And over the next 4 years, he came up with 5 different guys. And I didn't like any of them.
Okay.
No. And he said, well, Chuck, look, I can't make the movie unless you sign a contract and say it's okay. And he said, I don't want to get sued. I said, well, I don't really care about that. It'd be nice to have a movie made about me, but not unless I agree with the guy you're going to get, And he kept coming up with guys, and they were okay, but it just didn't click to me that this guy could play a part. One day he called me up, I'll never forget, on a Thursday, and I was doing my rowdy on the phone, and he says to me, I have a guy in mind. He says, we still got to get the okay from you, but then it's dragging on, and my investors want to know, what we're going to find to get this done. So I go, who are we talking about? He said, have you seen the remake of the movie The Manchurian Candidate? And I said to myself, yeah, I did see it. And I said,
And he wanted Denzel Washington to play you? No, I'm kidding.
I got looked at it. That would have been great, too.
Yeah.
Denzel, one of the greatest fighters I've ever lived. Anyway, he said, no, Liev Schreiber. Well, with that, you can get a alarm off my head. It's Liev Schreiber. He's one of the pay. I said, that's it. Send me the contract. If this guy is willing to play me, Chuck Wepner, I'd be honest. I think this guy, because I saw him in a couple other movies, too.
Well, Ray Donovan.
Yeah. Well, no, that was later.
Oh, Ray Donovan came after your movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just the remake. Yeah, just the remake of the
Manchurian Candidate, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, make a long story short, he called me back 3 days later, and he's like, talked to Schreiber, and he wants that part. He's happy that you're happy with him. And he says, we're going to start shooting in about 3 weeks. And I went over to New York, and I met him in person. I've never met him in person. I just saw him in the movie. And that Manchurian Candidate, the remake, if you've seen that, or if you haven't, you should get it.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal actor. He's not even good. He's phenomenal.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
Anyway, that's how it went down, and I was actually on the set of the movie 11 times.
And that movie was filmed in Canada, though, right?
No, it was filmed mostly in New York.
Oh, it was. Okay. All right.
Everything's right in New York, because I was driving over there.
Okay.
I was driving over to New York during the week, a couple of days a week, and talking to him and giving him a couple of slangs that I used, the accent and everything else.
And the two of you became very good friends, correct? Very good friends.
Great friend, and he's a wonderful guy, and he's a terrific actor, and I was so blessed to have him because he did such a phenomenal job with that movie, and we became instant friends.
And he came to your fundraiser at the Chandelier 3 years ago.
Yeah, he was supposed to stay 1 hour maybe because he was taping.
Ray Donovan.
There with Susan Sarandon.
Yes.
He was supposed to be there. He was carrying out a big taping with Susan Sarandon. So when he did show up for the fight, which he probably for the dinner, I said to him, "Thanks a lot for coming." He said, "No problem, sir. I told Susan Sarandon I'm going to stay an hour, and then I'm going to come back and finish the taping." Well, 4 hours and 5 martinis later.
And about 700 autographs. He was signing autographs for everybody, right?
They just loved him. He just talked up there, Larry Holmes.
Yep.
Bobby Sanders. I had a lot of big names there. But he was the hit of the night, and he wound up doing a phenomenal job. And we became instant friends. And to this day, we're very good friends.
Well, that's great. That's great. And the movie, not only was it somewhat of a financial success, but it was a great movie. It was a great movie.
Yes, it was. That was a financial success because they re-released it with Netflix, and it did very well on Netflix. And you can still even get it these days. It's still being taped. I mean, still being shown
On Netflix, yeah, but you're not getting any money for it now. It's free.
I took it up front. Mike told it off to me, and I always would rather have money if they were offering up front. You never know with pictures.
Right.
The movie went on sale. We were up in Canada, and the movie was shown there from in Canada. And the next day, I got a phone call in my room, Canada. We were still there in Toronto, and that it was bought instantly by Showtime, right?
Showtime.
They beat out Sony.
Yep.
And because Schreiber was doing his show at the time, and IFC. And they bought it, and they did a great job. I was very happy with it, but it just kept rolling for him because he had his own show. And I don't know if you've seen his new TV movie.
The Ray Donovan movie? Yeah, I've watched. Honestly, Chuck, I've seen it, and I'm a huge fan of that show. I mean, gigantic fan of that show. But I started watching it. I was like lost. I'm going, what's going on here? I had no idea.
You're right. He kept bouncing
back and forth. It was very confusing. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it maybe didn't turn out as good as it should. But the way I love Liev Schreiber and hit that role there. I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I love him to death. I'm a huge fan. He's also the voice of HBO sports documentaries, which you would never think that's the same voice from Ray Donovan to the voice he puts on for the like HBO, the Hard Knocks and the documentaries and everything. You would never know that was the same guy. He's just phenomenal. He really is.
Anyway, that's the way. I've been so lucky in life. Things have gone great for me. I'm looking forward to a few more good years.
All right. I got a couple of minutes with you, Chuck, real quick. What was it like for you to see that mural being painted on the wall off of Broadway on? I guess that's about 11th Street. Yeah, somewhere like that.
No, it was on
33rd Street. Oh, okay.
It was great, but it wasn't. That mural was actually put together in pieces, if you can believe it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's how they did it. But it was great. And the only thing is, the city made a little bit of a mistake. They put it on that building, and they paid rent to this guy who owned the building. And after 2 years, he wanted double the money to keep it up there. And I sat down with Jimmy Davis, who's the mayor of Bayonne.
Right.
And he told me, he said, Chuck, the guy wants to take down a picture unless we come up with such and such dollars. And he doubled it from what we paid originally. I said, what? Forget it. Come and take it off the wall. And that's what they did. They took it down off the wall in pieces. But I got a call a week after that from a guy named Thanos, a young man who owns a liquor store on 43rd Street Broadway. And Chuck, I got a building on 53rd got the wall. I'll try to contact you. Got the wall for the rest of your life. If you want to put that picture up there again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then, you know, we were already in the middle of contract talking about the statue. And the statue is just so awesome. I think we're going to do the statue first.
Okay.
Done. Right now, it's over in a smelting company in Philadelphia, being bronze.
Wow.
Believe it. 7.5 feet tall and weighs 2,000 pounds.
Well, that's a little bit more than you weighed in your last fight.
Yeah, that's quite a bit more.
Yeah.
And we're all excited about this now.
And you're going to put it in Bayonne Park, right?
Put it in Bayonne Park right now, either Bayonne Park or
Near the stairs?
near the stairs, right, in the middle of Hunter County Park.
Which you used to run those stairs all the time, didn't you?
We're so long got another idea, running up and down the steps of Philadelphia.
Right.
Running up and down the stairs there. Because all the publicity on the title fight was out before Stallone ever made that movie.
That's correct. Yeah, there was I think it was, didn't 60 Minutes do a feature on you and showed you running in Bayonne Park and running the stairs? I think it was it 60 Minutes?
Yeah,
60 Minutes. I remember that too, as well as today. All right. 83 years old. You're happily married. You got a family. You're still working. You still live in Bayonne. I guess you're never going to leave Bayonne. Bayonne's your home, right? All right. And do you mind being the second most famous person ever to come from Bayonne? I'm even going to give you a higher billing than Brian Keith. But can you beat Sandra D? Yeah, you could be second, but I'll put you ahead of Brian Keith. But I don't know if you could beat Sandra D. Sandra D was married to Bobby Darin. Come on, you know, let's.
I met Bobby Darin.
Did you really? Oh my God.
I met them all. I used to go over to Copa. I worked at a Copa for 2 weeks. I worked the downstairs back door at a Copa. I knew all the guys. We used to go over there with some of my friends. Yeah, some of the boys.
So all the bent noses, you used to let them in the back door?
Well, there was some people used to come in the back door.
Right.
I was in charge of me and Marcel Vivian.
Oh my God. Okay. And his son Michael went to high school with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was a great, tough guy.
Tough guy. He got cut a hell of a lot more than you ever did, though, Chuck.
Yeah, nobody got cut. I hold the record.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Close to me is Vito Antifermo.
Oh, Vito Antifermo had a bunch too.
He had 325 stitches in and around his face. So I said to my manager, Al Raven, at the end of my career, I want to have one more fight because I want to be number one. 10 stitches in the fight with the kids from the Ice World.
Scott Frank.
I took over number one.
All right.
That guy with stitches in it was
Well, but all told, Chuck, you can't complain about your life, and it all began in sports, and it all began in Bayonne, and you got to be really thankful and blessed that you've had the life that you've had.
Oh, I am so thankful. I'm just so thankful that I'm being raised, and I'm in a city like Bayonne because it's a great city. I've been friends with every mayor and every governor since Governor John Hughes presented me with the champ plate. My place to say champ.
And you still have them.
Oh, they're still mine. They're mine forever.
All right.
And he took me down to Trenton, him and Tom Dunn, who was state senator and the mayor of Elizabeth.
Right.
And they presented me with the champion plates, and they're mine for life.
Yeah. And you still got the same car too, right?
No, I drive those two cars. I leased them.
Oh, okay.
I ran out driving a new Lincoln Continental.
I knew it was a big link. I knew it was a big car, Chuck. I thought that was the original. So anyway.
No, grace of Jesus. I turn them in every 2 years, switch keys, and drive over to brand new one.
All right, good. That's a smart thing to do. So all told, though, blessed life, right? Correct? You can't ask for anything more.
And you get to meet some nice people like yourself. I'm very lucky, and I'm glad I was able to get on your show.
And Chuck, I'm glad. By far, you know, 2.5 years doing this is the best. You're the premier guest that I've had, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And my best to you, and I hope to see you in person real soon. You know what? April 14th. April 14th. I'm going to come down and I'll see you at the event.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
All right, great talking to you, Chuck. Thanks so very much for the time. All right, bye-bye. And that was my special guest today, the immortal Chuck Wepner, a.k.a. the Bayonne Bleeder. And yes, he does not mind being called the Bayonne Bleeder. I would have never, ever guessed that, but he does not mind. But that's how he's referred to. And he was a special guest today. And just as a reminder that the Hudson County Sports Podcast is brought to you every week by the Stan Sports Center, which is your local full-service sporting goods vendor and authorized team dealer. They offer quality products and dozens of brands to outfit your team top to bottom. Stan's has proudly been supporting the local community since 1946 and is your one-stop shop for uniforms, equipment, online team stores, and so much more. Locations in Hoboken and Saddlebrook and servicing the entire tri-state area. Visit them on the web at Stan's, plural, sports, plural, CTR. That's Stan's, plural, sports, plural, CTR.com. And check them out on social media for their latest creations. That's Stan Sports Center, located at 528 Washington Street in Hoboken. Telephone number there is 201-798-4466. And if you mention the Hudson County Sports Podcast and you mention that to Danny and Lou and Todd and all my friends down at Stan's that you listen to the Chuck Wepner Hudson County Sports Podcast, you'll get 10% off anything retail in the store. Thank you very much for listening to the Hudson County Sports Podcast today. My special thanks to my executive producer, Johnny Haig, my great nephew, who without him, there would be no such thing as the Hudson County Podcast and no such thing to be able to bring you Chuck Wepner today. So with that, I will say adieu. And I'm Jim Haig, and I hope to have another edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast up next week. Thanks for listening. Take care.